You know, when I was growing up here in Brooklyn, I started preaching when I was around 4 years old. I was ordained by Bishop F.D. Washington when I was 10. And the black church was the center of our life. It was not only our spiritual connection with God, it was where we did everything. It was our economic, our political meeting ground. No matter what you were all week, boy, girl, you were Mr. Miss somebody on Sunday morning. You were the head of the deacon board, the head of the missionary society. It gave you your status, your stature, your self-esteem. Yet people are saying now that the black church has lost its value, that the faithful are fleeing. As one that I feel has been the penultimate in gospel music for this generation, Kirk, how do you see where the black church is now as a minister and as the artist you've come to be?
We are just very careful that those of us that are in Christian service don't ever see ourselves any more than just servants. I mean, I wouldn't even dare to even try to see myself as a superstar or celebrity more than just a servant. And I still believe that the church still has that same stance. Yes, there are bad policemen, there are bad white people, there are bad preachers, there are bad churches, but we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We still believe that there's still a significance, that we still believe that there's still a voice that is still relevant to the culture, that is still relevant to politics, still relevant to society. And I think that if we deny that, we deny our race, we deny our history. So I still believe that it's still valuable and it still has its place.
You don't believe in the church?
No, I don't believe in the church.
Tell us who you are, what you do.
My name is Joseph Dixon. I do comedy. And I'm known as the atheist comedian, atheist black comedian, America's only.
But you're not joking when you say you don't believe in God.
I'm not joking at all, not at all.
And why do you not believe the church or God has any value in your life?
Well, I don't think it exists, so hence no value. The whole idea of the Bible is, no offense to you and you and you.
Oh,
I'm surrounded by
none taken, none
Christians.
Taken.
But it's nonsense. Like, okay, you read the Bible, right? How can two people, Adam and Eve, how can two people have enough children to populate an entire planet?
How can one explosion also create all different races of skin colors and skin tones? I mean...
Well, people evolved, that's how. People go to different parts of the world, they evolved, and that's how they got different skin tones and different looks.
Well, how did it start? If I believe in evolution, it doesn't eliminate God because it evolved from what? The what it has to be explained.
This is humbly speaking, because I think also what we've done also as the church and as Christians is that we have forgotten how to be strong in humility. We have forgotten how to be roaring lambs. That we always want to win the argument. We always want to win the fight, and we always want to become across better than. My faith is my faith, and my faith is not dented when I'm standing next to another great African American man that disagrees with me. My only question is, and I say this with humility, is that if we tell young black men that are hopeless and helpless, if we tell young black girls that have had at least 20 or 30 sexual relationships by the time they're 15, and if we tell them that they were created by a bang, what in the world gives them hope to be different?
But they don't believe that now. What gives them the hope now? Most of these people you're talking about are already in church. They go to church every Sunday. They're still getting correct. The same stuff is still happening.
What we do then is that we correct the institutions that may have flaws in it. If you tell me that my creation or that my beginning has no purpose, that it was just an explosion and an accident, then who's to tell me what's right, who's to tell me what's wrong? Who's to tell me that the Constitution is right? Who's to tell me that green light is right?
Wait a minute, you can't decide your own morals? You can't decide something's wrong? You got to get it from a book? You got to get it from somebody in the outer space?
Before you go there, Joe,
Reverend, I apologize, brother. We ain't even introduced you. What's your name? Where you from? What you believe?
Reverend represents the black church, and he has got one of the major ministries in this area. Tell Joe and Brother Kirk about what you do, Reverend.
Well, I'm Ivan Pitts, and I am the proud pastor of New Hope Baptist Church.
Watch out, preacher.
Yes, sir. Right outside of the New York area in Danbury, Connecticut. And I, too, believe that the role of the black church is kind of what Kirk said, is to empower people educate people and encourage people individually, collectively, to make a difference, not only in their community, but to make a difference in the world. And the powering force behind our efforts is a firm belief in God.
If there is no foundation, then what we're saying is that every race, every genre, every different culture is left to their own interpretation of what right and wrong is. If there's no foundation...
They already are. We're already left to our own interpretation of right and wrong. There's different interpretations of the Bible. Your interpretation of the Bible is the same as Pat Robinson's. Pat Robinson's putting a hit out on the, was it the president of Venezuela?
There's enough to make us...
I mean, it's only open to interpretation already.
There's enough to make us one, though. For example, you're black and an atheist, I'm black and a Christian, but there's still enough blackness between me and you to make us one.
But our foundation is our race, so we have some sort of connection from
I agree.
our background.
I totally agree.
Nothing.
So
we can do that without a church.
So then there's a foundation.
Obviously, you can believe what you want. I'm not suggesting. What I think, though, if enough black people are leaving the church, I think that's a good thing. I think that's great. I think the church teaches you how to not think for yourself.
Enough black people leaving. That's the real issue here. Beyond your belief, and I agree with Kurt, we don't want to beat you down. In fact, I'm going to give you a free haircut for showing up today. We're gonna give you the haircut.
Is he trying to say you need one? Is that what you're trying to say?
I guess so.
I will try to get in his head while we're doing it. But anyway, it ain't about just your belief. It's about our people leaving the church. And I would argue that while people say that, we have more mega churches now than we ever had. How can you have mega churches like the Potter House and people say we're leaving when we're building bigger churches than we ever did?
I have to first say that I have deep respect for the black church. Racism, Jim Crow's, it has been the black church that has been the refuge of so many of us. Has it lost that power? No, it hasn't. It has a huge voice. It's able to get indoors that maybe we as single people cannot. Now, is it relative? Our young people in this generation are valid in some of the things that they ask. Is Jesus white? A real clear menu of theological responses have to be put out so that young people can choose their answers and be independent thinkers. It has to continue to go beyond denominational lines. It really is a new day, and we've got to give people a broader spectrum of how they see and think about God.